pulled up, and we'll get started with emotional freedom techniques. Right there. Okay.
I'm going to set my timer. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
I'm pretty good with keeping track of time, but
I can help you.
I made sure that each of you has one of my business cards. There's also an EFT cheat sheet that looks like this. And then there's a door prize feedback form that actually we're going to use for 2 door prizes. One from me and one from exactly. And then I also have a worksheet. It could be any variation of blue or green or gold. And it just gives you an idea of some starting places with EFT. So let's see here. I want to tell you a little bit about my story with this technique. I've been a counselor since about '86. I graduated from my master's program in 1986. I worked as a career counselor for several years, and I've been in private practice actually since about 2000. When I left a perfectly good job, anybody ever do things like that? And started my private practice. The first time, someone loaned me, this will date it, VHS recordings of EFT. And because I had a whole lot more time than I had clients, every day I listened to a little bit of the recordings. And I tapped along. Now, at the same time, not only was I starting my business, I was also going through a separation and divorce. And if anybody's ever experienced that, it's a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. And I was not consciously tapping on what was going on for me at the time. I was just tapping along with the recordings. And one of the suggestions of the founder of EFT, and I'll talk about that here in a few minutes, is Gary Craig. And he suggests, try it on anything, try it on everything. So if somebody said, I have a migraine, I'd say, I have this technique. I don't know if it'll work. I want to try it. And I was able to help people either reduce the huge reduction in the effects of a migraine. A couple of people actually wiped out a migraine. Anybody have migraines? Yes? No medication. This is what I love about this technique. There's no medication that's involved in it. I know there are a lot of veterans that are looking for non-medication related approaches. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you all today, because there's a lot out there. So I found at the end of this extended summer, when my now ex and I really parted ways, I was actually okay. And I was thinking, what the heck is going on here? And I realized that part of it was that I was, the tapping that I was doing every day throughout the summer. So I started actually introducing it to clients. For 9 years, I taught full-time as a faculty member in the graduate counseling program. I also taught as an adjunct, so I wonder if I know Sylvia from before. And I try to teach other people. I love teaching this technique because it's portable, it's easy to learn, and you can try it on anything. And people try it on, I stubbed my toe and it hurt like you want to fill in the blank. And any aspect of that, because that can be really painful. So we're talking about not only the physical aspects, the pain, the physical pain, but really what this starts to look at is for any physical issue, there are also emotional and psychological aspects of the physical issue. So the tapping itself is pretty broad. It can apply to any one of those aspects. And then when you go out there, there are people who are questioning their spiritual connection as well, and you can use tapping for that too. I like that it's a technique that can be used for a variety of tools, and I want to. So you got to meet my resident in counseling and intern. I thought I would make sure to that was my quick story. EFT has been shown to help with anxiety, with depression, with food and drug cravings. I taught somebody EFT who is a substance abuse counselor, and any opportunity she gets to teach her clients, she is. And it helps with cravings, it helps with a lot of different things. And then I put in bold here the effects of stress and post-traumatic stress, which is an extreme stress disorder. And then it can also enhance work performance. All of us like that, people like that. Athletic performance. In fact, the founder of EFT was retired now, a performance coach for golfers. And he's able to help people improve their golf game. So if you got golf and you want to improve your game, this is something that might help with that too. And then if you want to amp up your own mental and physical well-being, this is a technique that you can do. Creativity and intuitive skills are also amped up, and as well as confidence and self-esteem. Who doesn't like that?
You had me at food.
All ears.
So I'm going to give you just a teeny tiny bit of background with this so that you have a little bit of foundation. How's that sound? So this is a blend of traditional Chinese medicine, which has been around for, they think, at least 6,000 to 7,000 years. Right? And then modern psychotherapy or traditional counseling and therapy. So I think it's a wonderful blend of the two of those. I was trained as a pretty traditional counselor, psychotherapist. So I start to straddle both worlds now because of this. And I kind of like that. It's a little mind expanding. And really what this says is that medicine, as you probably figured out, has tried to treat symptoms of people. And you're figuring out, have you figured out that that's not enough? And that's part of the reason I think that this technique works so well, is that it really does address the fact that we are multidimensional. We are operating on a variety of levels all at the same time. So this is based on, like I said, traditional Chinese medicine, and behind me is a Chinese acupuncture doll. So we're not talking about acupuncture for this. We're going to be actually stimulating the same points on meridians. Now meridians are energy pathways. On the doll itself, it's hard to see up there, but there are lines on it. There are actually 14 different meridians, 12 pairs. So there's one that has points here, and they're paired on either side of the body, mirror points, right? And then there are 2 additional, so 12 pairs, and then 2 additional meridians, ones that run front and back. Okay, so they're paired in a kind of different way. I like this picture. I actually took it several years ago in front of the bamboo kind of forest. It was kind of cool. Anyway, so this just gives you an idea of a different way of looking at the meridians. We are really clear that we have blood running through our bodies, don't we? And they look like the arteries and capillaries and all that. The meridians are similar. They're energy though. And actually, I just came from a conference on energy psychology, and now they're starting to see that there are filaments that run through our body that they think are the meridians, that run 7,000 times faster than our nerves. So that's pretty cool if we can harness that. And that's what's actually happening with this. So we're not doing acupuncture, which is with the needles. And let's see here. So there's a lot of good evidence that shows that acupuncture is very helpful. Anybody ever experienced acupuncture? Great. I never have. I don't want needles. And which is why I like this technique. And I want to do a sidetrack here for a second. So let's see here. So I'm going to talk about acupressure. Remind me sidetracked. So I want to talk a little bit about, I'll just do it now, evidence-based and evidence-supported therapies. So we hear about evidence-based therapies, right? That's what the VA wants, that's what insurance wants, and you know what? It's a political process. You know that. So evidence-supported means there's evidence out there, there's research out there. But you know what? It hasn't made through the political process, and that's what's happening with EFT. There are a lot of people who are using EFT, and there's great research that supports EFT. There's a lot of research that supports EFT. It's being used in Rwanda with people who have survived genocide. Children, adolescents, and adults. And they are clearing. I'm not talking about like just the next week, the symptoms are coming back. I'm talking clearing. It's done. 100%. That's pretty phenomenal, isn't it? So now I can't claim that I've had those kinds of results with the folks that I've worked with or with myself, but I know that it's happening because there are enough people who are reporting it and who are conducting not quite scientific studies because that's really hard with control variables and all of that, but they're showing some phenomenal results. That speaks to me. What also speaks to me is that if I get good results, I'm going to pass it on. And I want you to know I've gotten good results, not only for myself, but for the folks that I've been working with. So a little bit of history of EFT. It comes from thought field therapy, TFT. Thought field therapy was designed by Roger Callahan, who was a psychologist. And I'm referring to him in past tense because he just passed away about a year and a half ago. But he actually also studied traditional Chinese medicine. And one day he was working with a client who had a phobia, water phobia. And he had this, they'd been working for a long time, and he had this insight. He said, why don't you just tap on this spot? This is actually the spot, he said. Why don't you tap on this spot and think about that event that you experienced? And so this Mary tapped on this spot, and it was gone. It was gone the next week, and the next week, and the next week. So he developed a lot of different protocols, and Gary Craig came along and said, you know what, we can simplify this. And Gary Craig's mission has been to bring this out to the public because Roger Callahan charged $10,000 in the 80s for clinicians to get trained in this. Those video recordings that I was telling you about, my friend paid $400 for probably 30 hours worth of video recording. That's making it more accessible. And he even made it more accessible after that. So these are actually the tapping points. And I'm going to show you really quickly what they are, but I also want to give you an experience. How would you like that? Most of us have some level of stress. Anybody have stress? Come on, I know you do. We live in a stressful world. Or you're in denial that you're in stress. And that's where the worksheet comes in. So on the worksheet, nobody's going to see this but you. I want you to identify something that feels stressful to you. Stress is so individualized that it's important that it's your stress. So an event, that's what the first line is. Name an event or situation that's stressful. It could be a person that you're dealing with. Most of us can come up with at least one. So just think of one. You're not thinking about all of them. So just one. And maybe one that if on a scale from 0 to 10, it's maybe a 5 or 6. Not a 10. Please don't do 10s. I forgot to say that in one presentation, and somebody thought of a 10, and then I had to do some repair work afterwards. So I'd be happy to, after this, I'll put that out there now. If there's still some things that are stirred up, give me a call. I do a free 10-minute phone consultation to anyone who gives me a call anyway, so we can kind of work through that. So the situation, and then you can see through the worksheet that What are some thoughts that you have about this? What are some feelings that you have about this? And where is it in your body? So really zero in on not just the event, what it looks like, but also how it feels on the emotional level, as well as any of the other aspects of it. Yes.
I'm not sure if I missed something. Did you say you could use this with physical pain?
Yes. Yes. Might be a little bit more complex than the stress. Stress can be complex too, but yes. Yeah. I'll make sure I'm not going to trip backwards. Was anybody watching that?
Yeah, it's like,
All right. I'm asking you to do this because I'm going to ask you to tap with me. That's the kind of experience I want you to have. And then as you see, as you're working down that worksheet, you can see that on a scale from 0 to 10, where 10 is the most intensity it could be, right now in this moment, what is it now? I asked you to choose something that's maybe a 5 or 6. So really think about the situation, event, person, the different aspects of it, see where it is, circle that, and then you can turn that over. If you don't want to write anything down, that's okay. I just still ask that you tap along. Now, here's the caveat. It's best if we get really specific. So it's best if I work with one person. But I learned my lesson that sometimes things that come up about one thing are really about other things. Anybody have that experience? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, so I'm going to do some general. We'll do some general. And what I want you to do is to think about your specific event or person or situation. Got it? And then we'll tap on the points. So just so that you know, usually if I'm doing something really quick with somebody, this is another thing that I like about this, is I'll just say, all you have to do is do what I do and say what I say. It's that simple. Now, I'm going to make up some things of what I think is going on around stress for you all, and we'll tap more generally, but I really want you to focus in, zero in on your particular stressful event, person, or situation. Got it? So the points are, the first point is called the karate chop, and all of this is on that little cheat sheet that I gave you too. I made those up as give them out quite a bit. So the first point is called the karate chop, and at the karate chop is the setup statement. The setup statement, you're going to tap. Yeah, it's on the outside, so if you have your thumb pointing to you and your palm down, then it's on the outside. And you're going to tap, we'll tap, and the setup statement is a statement of the issue and an affirmation. Now, the recommended affirmation is, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I have clients who can't even think of saying that. Not just say it, but can't even think of saying it. So I use some different defaults. And I'll use one of my defaults because it's a little awkward to say that in a large group. I might throw it in anyway, but just to test you. No, just but I'm going to probably use, I'm going to be okay. I'll get through this as the affirmation. How does that sound to you all? Easy? So that is the setup statement. And we say that 2 or 3 times, tapping here. And then the next point is called the eyebrow point. That's right on the eyebrow. On the bone right here. Yep, most of you got it. The next one is the side of the eye on the bone. The next one is under the eye, just also on the bone. So here's what this feels really, this is weird for a lot of people. So it's directly under the eye. The next one is just under the nose. The next one is called above the chin. The next one is the collarbone point. So if you look at, you can feel your collarbone go down and about 2 inches just right at your collarbone, you can tap there. What I will do is actually make my hand into a C, and my thumb will go, most of you got it, yeah, I'm gonna put it that way. The next one is under the arm, and there are some people, first of all, there are thousands of YouTube videos out there, so it's about 4 inches below your armpit, and it might even be tender if you tap it hard enough. You don't have to tap this hard. Last one is at the top of the head, right in the center of the head. Each of these places are meridian lines that have several points on them. This is an end point for one line. This is another end point for another meridian. This is another endpoint for another meridian. This is pretty close to an endpoint for another meridian. This is another meridian. This is another set of meridians. This is another set of meridians. So I showed you to cross over like this. I usually just do this, okay? So it's up to you, and you can even skip this point. This has redundancies in the system, which is another reason I like it. So if you say, I don't really want to do that point, that's really kind of awkward, don't do it. In fact, there are a couple of people who, this is another way that you can use this. Finances, money, if you have issues around the right, then to clear any anxiety, worry, all of that can be, it can be really helpful. Any questions so far?
How long do you do the tap?
I'll show you with this. Yeah. Okay. So let's see here. Got that. Okay. So are you ready? Good. So at the karate chop point, and if you want to say this in your head or out loud, you're welcome to. It doesn't have to be said out loud, but it can help. So even though I have this stress, thank you. Will you be my echo?
Absolutely. I'm in the process of a move.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Okay. This was really for you.
Yes.
So you want us to say what you're saying?
You say what I say and do what I do. It makes me, even though I have the stress,
Even though I have the
I'm
stress,
gonna be okay.
I'm gonna be okay.
I have all this stress,
I have all the stress.
but I think I'm gonna be okay.
I think I'm gonna be okay.
Well, I might be okay.
I might be okay.
I have a lot of stress right now,
I have a lot of stress right
and I
now.
feel it in my body.
And I feel it in my body.
I feel it in so many different ways.
I feel it in so many different ways.
But I think I'm gonna be okay.
I think I'm gonna be okay.
Okay, so ready. This stress,
Stress.
side of the eye, I have this stress.
I have stress.
Under the eye, this stress.
Stress.
Under the nose, I hate having all this stress.
I have all the stress.
Above the chin, I can't stand having this stress.
I can't stand having this stress.
Collarbone point, I just wish it would go away.
I just wish it would go away.
Under the arm, this stress.
Stress.
Top of the head, I have all this stress.
I have all the stress.
Eyebrow point, we're gonna do one more round. This stress,
Stress.
side of the eye. Boy, I just wanna release and let go of this stress. Good. Under the eye. Letting go of this stress.
Letting go of the stress.
Above the chin, I'm just letting go of this stress.
Letting go of the stress.
Above the chin, I'd really like to easily let go of this stress.
Really like to easily let go of the stress.
Collarbone point, this stress.
The stress.
Under the arms, this stress.
The stress.
Top of the head, this stress.
The stress.
Take a deep breath. Tune in to your stress. What you wrote down, what's the intensity now? Right, from 0 to 10, what's the intensity right now? And by the way, yawning is great. Because that shows, yeah, right. So you don't have to make yourself yawn. Have you ever tried to make, you can't really make yourself yawn. All right, so how many had their stress go up? How many stayed the same?
I think mine stayed the same or maybe a little bit less.
Okay, so then how many had a reduction in stress? Okay. So that was just in a couple of minutes. Now, in order to further reduce it, the more we can zero in on what the issue is, the greater the chances that we'll reduce it. We're gonna aim for 0. It's kind of hard to do in a group like this, but we could do another round and see what happens. Are you up for it? Okay, yes.
For this to be effective, is it imperative that the individual is able to zero in on one thing?
I'm so glad you're asking that, really, because first
That
of all,
was the challenge for me.
so number one, it helps to zero in on one thing. It helps, because then you have an idea of if the intensity is going down, because you have something to anchor it to. Now, when it comes to something like stress, we start to feel our bodies relax. And some of the research with this approach says that it actually calms our amygdala. Anybody know about the amygdala? It's the deep primal part of our brain that actually is fight, flight, freeze. It's the thing that just says, amp it up, or run away, or shut down. It actually, reduces the cortisol in our body, literally, and that's the stress hormone. So it can do that. It does help for it to be specific, but you know what? If you're not able to name what's going on, then start with what's going on, right? There's a recent book, I mentioned I'd gone to this conference recently. There's a book that just came out with folks who are using it in Rwanda, and that's my 25 minutes. I got 5 minutes.
Okay,
That's my
yeah, get out.
5 minute warning. What they're doing is getting people from all these different tribes, so there's like 20 different languages in one room, and they can't possibly give voice to the thing that's happening, so people aren't even using words for it. And it's having the same kind of effect. So that was a great question. And if you don't want to speak it out loud, you don't have to speak it out loud. I do believe that there's something when we speak something, there's an element, an aspect of speaking something out loud that can make a difference. But you know what? If you can't, you can't. There are some other points, like I've been in committee meetings. Anybody been in committee meetings? Like, and there are other points that you can do very literally under the table because they're on the fingers. But I've also done this when I've been talking to somebody that, right? And these are all points that we kind of touch anyway, right? You know, we do this, we don't do this, but. So those points are really accessible points. Here, we do this, don't you? And this is an easy one to hold. And there are derivatives of this technique that's just you touch and breathe, that you're not even tapping on the points. So any other questions? Let's do one more quick round, okay? So, at the karate top, even though I have this remaining stress, I might be okay. I might be able to make it through this. Even though I have this stress. And it might be a lot of stress. I'm ready to release it. Because I could get through this. Right, so this stress. Side of the eye. This stress. Under the eye. This stress. Under the nose. This stress. Above the chin. I really want to release and let it go. Releasing and let it go the stress. I release and let go of the stress. Releasing and letting go. Yeah, I could get through this. I might even have a change in perspective. I'm ready to release and let all of this go. This stress. Ready to release and I'll let it go. Just release and let it go. Yeah, ready to release and let all the stress go. This stress. Stop, take a deep breath. All right, go back to the original, or even how you were feeling originally. How are you doing? Anybody go up? Stay the same? Reduce. Okay, who's went down? Awesome. Now, I'll tell you what, all the techniques that I learned in graduate school never got that quick of a response. Never. So that's one of the reasons I like this. And it's easy to teach people, like I said. So I want to encourage you to practice. I gave you some cheat sheets. I gave you a handout. I also have a meetup group that meets every month. Right now it's free. I might be charging a little bit for it, but not much. And there are 3 websites that are up here. Now, I did put at each place there's a little feedback form. That's great. So if you'll give me a little bit of feedback, I appreciate it. If all you put on there is your name right now, we know that you're just interested in the drawing, that's fine. If you'd like for me to call you, if you'd like any of the resources be put on my email list, fill that out, and then if you'll fold it up and send it up, we have 2 drawings. Great. Yes.
So when you do this in a session,
Yes.
how long is it going to take? 2 minutes?
my sessions are my full sessions are typically 50 to 55 minutes, and usually what we'll do is we'll kind of do a check-in, so that might be 5 or 10 minutes, and then what I do is I specifically map things out with folks and zero in on what's going on for them. And so in the session, it might be 20 to 25 minutes, and then a sort of a tie-up time. And I always have between session work with clients, ask them to send them home with, here's some more that you can also do, but in session, it's somewhere between 20 to 25 minutes. Does that make sense? Okay, thanks for that. Yeah.
Suzanne, I know you work primarily with adults, but can you talk a little bit about?
This is awesome for kids.
I know, right, exactly.
Awesome for kids, because you know what? They don't have as much stuff that we do. And their issues are much more simple. They get it really quickly, really quickly. And so we're clear even quicker than we do. So great question, thank you. Any
Thank you.
others? Thank you.
I do have a question.
Oh,
You're
okay.
giving out clients who come
Yes,
to you, do
yes,
you also
yes.
integrate this?
Yeah, I don't use it with everybody, thanks
Okay.
for asking that.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have with everybody, given our
Yeah.
clients. Not everybody, and this is true for any tool that I use with folks. I always just sort of check in, see how they're doing with it, and if they say, not interested, I don't push it. And that's part of the reason I offer the EFT group, so you can actually have a taste of it.
Yeah.
So it works really nicely.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Do you get certified in this,
Oh,
or?
thank you for asking that. I do have a level 1 certification in it. I did that for that reason, because people ask that question. You're not required to have a certification in it. There are a lot of people practicing out there, and that certification actually only happened relatively recently in the history of EFT. I would suggest that you find people who are certified in it. And they're listed on the EMO Free website, and also the Energy Psychology website also has it. It's energypsych.com. And then EFT Universe has a different certification, and the tapping solution has people listed on it. I'm listed on Psychology Today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And a very small token of our appreciation, and this is very much overdue, because Dr. Thompson has done so much for Give an Hour, for this community, for the service members and their loved ones that she serves and gives her time to. So a very, again, small token of our appreciation. Give an Hour.
Don't you think we should do this for Jenny? We don't have does anybody have a prize for Jenny? How about really good applause?
Thank you again. Wow, so I feel better. I'm ready for a nap. But our next presenter